Hello everyone, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm, and today I'm going to tell you how to turn a $75 feeder pig into a butcher hog worth at least $1,000. Stay tuned and I'll tell you all about it. Pigs are often overlooked in terms of profitability by many farmers because they require a lot of inputs or feed in order to become a marketable product. You know, the large factory farms have done such a good job at reducing the price of pork over the years that if you're a small farmer, you may look at pigs and say, well, I just can't compete. Well, I'm here to tell you that I think that line of thinking is probably outdated. When I was a kid in the late 80s and 90s, my dad was like many other farmers in the area. He had a couple acres that was dedicated to raising pigs. We had a few sows and a boar. In those days, you could make pretty good money on feeder pigs. In fact, there were several farmers in the area here that did just that. They made a living just raising feeder pigs alone. Of course, at that time, demand was high, feed was cheap, and the large factory farms had not crowded out the little guy yet. Over the last several years, there's been an increase in demand for small, local farm-raised products, and pork is no exception to that. In fact, in 2020, when COVID hit, the demand for locally raised pork skyrocketed. And that brings us to the main point of the video. Can you really make a decent profit raising pigs? Well, in order to answer that question, we're going to have to look at some numbers and do a little bit of math. So please stay with me. I promise it's worth it. If you've ever wondered why we call it Plainview Farm, the first number I want to talk to you about is the cost of acquiring the pigs. You can do that through raising them yourself, through farrowing, having a sow and a boar that you breed, or you can buy feeder pigs. In the past, I've generally been a feeder pig buyer, and the reason for that is that in my neck of the woods, I've always been able to acquire feeder pigs that are healthy and come from good genetics for a relatively small price. Now, that's not always the case for everyone. In fact, in my area, things have actually started to trend in the opposite direction the last couple years. Last year, I was able to buy 15 feeder pigs for about $50 without too much trouble. I did have to do some hunting, a little more than normal. And this year, feeder pigs have been just about impossible to find. I recently read that the average cost of a feeder pig is about $75, so that's the number we're going to start with. The next major number to consider is the cost of feed. Frankly, feed costs are usually the greatest variable whenever it comes to raising pigs because feed prices tend to fluctuate so much. Right now, my feed costs are $25 per hundredweight or $500 a ton. Now, if you have the place to store your feed or even have a bulk feeder that's large enough to hold it all, kind of like the one that's behind me back over there, you'll probably be able to save a little bit of money if you buy your feed in bulk or by the ton. So the big question when it comes to feed is, well, how much does it take to get a pig to market weight? Well, that depends. Don't you hate it when people say that? On average, the target feed conversion ratio of a pig should be about 3-to-1, meaning that for every 3 pounds of feed that pig consumes, there should be 1 pound of growth or gain. Now, not every breed is going to perform on a 3-to-1 ratio. Some will do better, some will do worse, but that should about be the average. In fact, some of the heritage breeds that have become popular as part of pastured pork operations may grow a little bit slower than their counterparts that are locked up in the big barn. But that's not a bad thing, because some of those slower growing breeds tend to have a reputation for higher quality, which means that you can probably charge a premium because you're growing a premium product. That being said, if you're shoveling loads of feed through your pigs and they just don't seem to be growing very much, you probably need to do a little bit of evaluation. Not all feeds are created equal, so I'd encourage you to get the best quality feed you can find. Cheap feed generally comes with a few hidden costs. Feed requirements also depend on what you consider to be a market weight hog. If you want your pig to be 300 pounds live weight whenever you take it to the market, you're going to require more feed than if you want 250 pounds live weight when you take it to be processed. But for the sake of simplicity, in this video, we're just going to go by averages, and you can manipulate the figures however you need to in order to fit your situation. So if you purchase a 50-pound feeder pig for $75, and that feeder pig produces a 3-to-1 feed conversion ratio, you're going to need 600 pounds of feed to get that pig to 250 pounds. Again, that's a 50-pound pig and 200 pounds of gain. So you have to take that 200 pounds of gain or growth and multiply it by 3 pounds of feed. Next, you have to multiply that 600 pounds of feed by the price of feed. And as I said before, it was $25 per 100 or 25 cents a pound, which that comes out to $150. So then if you add the $75 cost of the feeder pig to the $150 of feed, that gives you $225 to get that pig to 250 pounds. So this is where the real decision making begins. Do you want to sell the pig as a whole pig or a half pig to be delivered to the butcher? In that case, generally what happens is the buyer will pay you for the pig when you deliver it to your local processor. The buyer will also pay for the processing fees and any other costs that are associated with it. And so once that animal steps off of your truck or trailer, then it's no longer your responsibility. In my area, the top producers are going to get paid about $1.25 or $1.50 per pound live weight. That means that a 250 pound hog is going to have a sale price between $312, $375, which means that you're going to earn a max of $150 for your time and other related expenses such as transportation, water, equipment, that kind of stuff. And if you plan to run that type of operation, selling halves and wholes, then volume is your best friend, because the only way you're going to make a substantial profit is by selling as many pigs as you can. Another way to sell your pig is to have it processed at an inspected facility that will allow direct sales of individual cuts of meat. So this means that you have to pay for the processing, and you have to be able to store it and sell it. Usually what this means is that you have to have a decent sized freezer or freezers, and you have to go to the local farmer's market. So my cost to have a pig processed at my local USDA facility is this. I have to pay $45 in general fees, 85 cents a pound hanging weight, and a pig is going to dress somewhere between 70 to 75% of its live weight to get to that hanging weight. Then I pay 70 cents a pound on top of that 85 cents for anything that is smoked and cured, and then it's 50 cents a pound for any grindings that I have made into sausage. Now, I've been told that those numbers are pretty cheap compared to other parts of the country, so you're going to have to do a little bit of investigation and find out what it would cost you to have yours processed at a facility that allows you to sell direct to consumer. Now, the typical pig will yield about 75% of the carcass weight in retail cuts, which means a 250 pound pig will produce a carcass that's about 180 pounds or so, and of that 180 pounds you'll end up with roughly 135 pounds that will be packaged retail cuts. So if you divide that original cost of $225, again that's feed and the cost of the pig, if you divide that original cost by 135 pounds, you're going to have a production cost of $1.67 per pound before your processing expenses. For me, a 250 pound hog is going to yield about 50 pounds of smoked and cured meats and 10 pounds of sausage. So using the numbers that I gave for my processing fees, we have, again, $45 in general fees, $153 for hanging weight processing, $35 for smoked and cured meats, and then $5 for sausage. So that gives us a total of $238 to process 135 pounds of retail cuts that are ready to sell. When added with the production costs from before, we have a total of $463 or $3.42 per pound for a product that is ready to go to the consumer. So the big question at the beginning of the video was, how do you turn a 75 pound feeder pig into a butcher hog that's worth at least $1,000? Well, to get $1,000 out of that pig, which would be $537 of gross profit, you'll need to sell your cuts for an average of $7.41 a pound. Now, some people may be thinking, that's quite a price, but I want to share something with you. The USDA puts out a monthly market report of pastured pork prices. And at the time of this video, the market report shows that the cheapest cut sold direct to consumers is selling for an average of $7.94 per pound. What is that cheapest cut? Well, it's ground pork. It's trimmings that are ground up. The most expensive cut, which is tenderloin, is selling at an average price of $16.25 per pound. So it's quite possible that if you're in the right market, you could actually be selling your pork for well over that $1,000 figure. In fact, we could be talking about a gross profit of $1,000, again, if you're in the right market. Now, I don't know about you, but around here, that's a pretty good return on investment, again, for what started out as a $75 feeder pig. Now, if you have any questions or comments or thoughts you want to add, by all means, share them in the comments down below. And as always, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. We really do appreciate it. Also, if you want to know whenever we post a new video, be sure and hit that little notification bell. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to take a second to add that I am aware that there are alternatives to buying feed, and if you have that kind of thing available, I would definitely encourage you to pursue it. Again, thanks for watching.